Hello everybody, my name is AJ and welcome to the Skillbilly Syndicate channel. Hello everyone, welcome back. This week has been kind of a slow week. We had some parts I had to order, some things were missing out of the master kit. Waiting on parts basically, so we're just kind of doing some small things here and there. First part of the video, you saw me assemble the fuel pump as long as the pre-filter and the post-filter. Pretty basic stuff on there. There's instructions. It's really simple. So I just did a quick assembly of that. Anyways, off camera, I went ahead and pulled off my fuel pump. Super easy. It's two 12mm bolts. One here, one here. This is them. Of course, you got to disconnect your primary and return lines. And I left the line on that normally goes to the Weber because I'm not using it anymore. So, some things we are going to use, some parts off of this fuel pump. Specifically, I'm going to go ahead and use this little paper gasket. This one is still in really good shape. I replaced it not too long ago. Still pliable, it's not cracked or anything like that. I'm going to use this again, and of course I'm going to use this spacer. And all I'm going to do is, I'm going to clean this up here. I got my piece of 3/8 6061 aluminum that I used to make that flange adapter in the first video. And I'm just going to put some tape over this, trace out the spacer, and then I will either use my carbide bit jigsaw blades and cut this out. I'll use my router and just zip it out real quick. Then of course you want to mark where the two holes are, drill those out so that the both sides through there, and then pretty much put it together. You want to do aluminum piece that you cut out and make, then the gasket, then the spacer, and this side would go directly to the side of your head. Really basic stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. guys, I just saw the camera, so I'll have to look back when I edit this and see how much of that footage you guys actually got. Sorry, I didn't think that one through very well. I do have to say this, I can't stress this enough. This WD-40, as far as using it while you're cutting, especially if you're using a jigsaw, this stuff is so important. As soon as this blade gets warm, it might as well be a butter knife. As soon as you hit it with some WD-40 and it cools down, it goes right back to cutting very nicely, for the most part pretty smooth. If you guys are going to do this the way I am with the jigsaw and the carbide bit, I would definitely use the WD-40 to help that process. I know I didn't record this process when I did the flange adapter in the first video, but it's exactly the same steps. That basic carbide bit gets your shape like this. If you want to use that multi-purpose thinner bit, you can trim this around a little bit tighter corners, make it look nicer, and then just a Dremel, smooth out the edges and get the rest of the shape the way you want it. And then of course just drill your holes, and that's pretty much it. Really basic stuff. Let's finish this shape here and we'll keep moving. Alright, so we're gonna finish cutting out this block off plate for the fuel pump, since we're not using the fuel pump anymore. And what I like to do, especially if you can see that our pattern's pretty well gone, you guys can see that in the video or not. So I take this time to go ahead and just put more tape over what we already have and then mark this out. And instead of using a pencil like I did the first time, I did a pencil the first time because I wanted to get as close to that edge as I could to cut down on how much I have to shave off this thing. Since we're just doing shaping right now with the Dremel tool, I'm going to use a permanent marker and trace it out this time. And obviously you guys don't have to do this if you don't want to. It works for me and it's kind of my process. I can see the shape a lot better and a lot easier doing it in marker than I can with that pencil. And since we got the rough cut in, it shouldn't be too big of a problem to cut this down to where it looks nice. Realistically, I could drill these holes out where the bolts go and slap it on there and it'll probably fit and work, but it just won't look as nice. And you can see here on there the shape, easier to see. So I'm just gonna use my Dremel tool and shape this down. Mostly what I'm gonna be using is my metal grinding wheel and then my thin cut metal cutting wheel. Okay, so sorry the GoPro battery died. This is what I'm gonna call finished. Is it good? Yeah, it'll work. Could someone do it better? Probably. But also, is it overkill? Yeah, it's also that. What you guys just saw in the video, I went ahead and I had used my Dremel tool, and I went and used a file, and all that really did was keep these parts from getting wavy. So I was able to smooth those out and make them flat. Also on this edge here, you can see I kind of ran a chamfer on the edge just to kind of round it off. I just used my router with like a little quarter over chamfer bit. Again, this is probably more than it needed. I also sanded it, started at 320 and then just went up from there, 600, 800, 1200, 1500, and then I think I stopped right around 2000. Hopefully I'm in frame here. So yeah, that is what I'm gonna call finished. It's not perfect, but I think it's gonna do the job. This is all stuff anyone could do at home with basic tools. Even if you had just a sanding block, you could smooth this out, probably even get it better than I did on here. I think I want to use this side facing out, and I'm gonna have reuse that paper gasket, and then I'm gonna put the spacer on, so it'll be just like that. Oh, also earlier I didn't have these holes done. I went ahead and just used a center punch to mark where the holes are going to be, and then I had a 8.5 millimeter drill bit, and you can see that that fits in there snug. And there's just a little bit of play because you know how drill bits, they wander off a little bit. So even though I used a center punch on there, the drill bit still tends to wander sometimes. So you can see how it's not perfect. Or even with these bolts out, you can kind of see that this one's low, this one's high. The 8.5mm drill bit leaves a little bit of play in the bolts to where you can kind of adjust this to make it look a little bit better. That is it for the fuel block off plate. I will pick up the video and cover some other things I did off camera. Alright guys, I got that block off plate installed. I just wanted to show you guys some things that I've done off camera and how the block off plate looks. So you can see here, this is how the block off plate looks. That's how it looks when it's installed. And then you can see, sorry guys, it's light. You can see the gasket, then the spacer, and then it just goes right to the head. So that's how that looks. So we're gonna call that done. Also on here, I took out a brass NPT thread. I had this plug, just a regular square brass NPT plug that you can get at any hardware store or like Home Depot or something. And I took that out. Coolant runs through here, so when you take yours out, you want to make sure that you got something to stop the coolant. I had a little silicone plug, so I just unscrewed mine real fast, put that plug in there, and then made sure that this was the right size, thread and everything. Compared it to the plug I took out. This sensor comes with the master kit. It's a coolant temp sensor, and it comes with the master kit, and this passageway in here always sees coolant. And what this will do, I mentioned it briefly in the first video, is instead of this electric fan running all the time, no matter what the temperature is on the engine, it will turn off at a pre-programmed temp and turn on at a pre-programmed temp, and that's all customizable. So you could have this set to turn on at 195 and turn off at 180 once it cools down more. So that way it's not constantly running. And I think that they even included a relay system for that. I'll have to double check. So another thing is this little air cleaner. I added this little, I want to say 5.5 inch air cleaner. I know it's 2.5 inches tall. You know, I don't remember what the diameter, maybe it was like a 5 or 6 inch, but anyways, this takes a 5/16 all thread stud for the air cleaner, and it does not come with one, so you have to buy one of those separately. You also have to buy the air cleaner separate. I bought that. You can buy the stud at any auto parts store. I got mine from O'Reilly's. It was like $8. You put it in there. I put some tape over the top of it, marked where I wanted to cut it off at, and then used my Dremel tool and just cut it off, and then put the air cleaner on. Again, pretty basic stuff. Some parts that I'm missing that did not come with the master kit is there is 4 flange studs, and I think the size on those is a 5/16 by 24. That was supposed to come with the master kit. I didn't have one with mine, so I went to Home Depot and just bought some bolts with washers, and then I got the nylon locking nuts so the vibration won't cause these to back off or become loose over time. Okay, so a big thing that I'm waiting for from Summit is there is a an assortment of pieces for attaching your throttle cable, and that was supposed to come in my master kit, and for some reason it wasn't in there. And also there's supposed to be a bracket, I believe, that holds the throttle cable as well. So I called them. They comped it to me for free. Luckily they sell these kits of hardware and various parts that you need. They sell them separately, so if you're missing something, you can just call them up and let them know what happened. I was talking to a lady, she was super nice, and she's like, yeah, I'll send you that kit, sorry about the trouble. I'll send you the brackets if you're gonna need them. So they sent it to me at all, no charge, and it shipped out yesterday too, so that's pretty good. So right now that's what we're waiting on, and we're just kind of doing some busy work while we wait for those parts to come in. So this is a sneak peek of what's coming up in the next video. We're gonna cover the fuel line system and some options that you have for running the primary feed line up to the Sniper. Some other options you have, and ultimately I'll let you guys know what I decided to go with for my fuel line. Several different options, and I'll let you guys know what I chose. This is my sending unit that I've already modified. There's a 9/16 hole here, 9/16 hole here. Still waiting on some parts for that also, but we'll cover that in the next video and let you guys know what's going on with the fuel lines. So everyone have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.